Hey guys, just wanted to do my reaction and review to The Flash, Season 4, Episode 14, Lose Yourself. So, the team's looking for the last bus meta. Edwin Starr, not Edwin Starr, Edwin Glass, like Edwin Glass, or some guy named Edwin. They try to go check the bus that Ralph and the other metas were on. That was affected by the dark matter wave. For clues or just for like scanning for dark matter radiation. And Ralph remembers this like this hippie looking this how he's entering Klaus is like seeing this like hippie looking dude paid for his who basically like paid for his bus fare. And so the problem is like he lives off the grid. He doesn't have any doesn't rely on cell phones and whatnot. And they have all four metas on the team trying to confront him because they realize that it's not just DeVoe opening gateways in and out of pocket dimensions to get around to move through space. He's also opening up some too, and it's like leaving some like residue behind, like DeVoe. So they're because of Harry and his thinking cap, they're able to narrow it down. And so, basically, Ralph, Barry, and Caitlin go out to the woods to find his Edwin's group, and they refer to him as the Folded Man. And they get attacked by the Samuroid, or at least Caitlin gets stabbed, in which Barry uses super speed to dismantle it and get Caitlin back to the lab to be healed up. While Ralph brings Edwin, and they agree because if his life is in danger, he agrees to stay in the pipeline. So the thing is that Harry is able to, with the power using the powers of the brain boost he got from the thinking cap and presumably Gideon, he's able to make what Cisco calls a tuning fork, basically what he nicknames the Sonic Scepter, which is basically able to emit a sound wave that's more powerful than the Fiddler's own sound wave, and has enough power to, and actually is powerful enough to be able to kill DeVoe. And I guess the thing, and Joe being the detective that he is, noticed something is off with Harry, and even though he kind of goes off, even though the group kind of splits off to do their own searches in terms of finding the last meta, he does catch Harry going into the time vault, and and his suspicions are confirmed when Harry gets so pissed about not being able to find the thinking cabinet, thinking that Cisco stole it, that he knocked over his Enterprise model from Star Trek, and he starts like attacking Cisco until Joe reveals that he's the one who took the thinking cap, and realized that Harry may have an addiction to the cap, because he's using it for because he's mentioned he's even using it for mundane things, like even just so much as making the perfect omelet. And you later found out that he's actually as one would presume, that he has been using Gideon to pump the thinking cap full of dark matter to boost his brain. And Barry and Ralph have been having this back and forth, in which whether it's the right, they think they might as well kill DeVoe, take him out then and there. And Barry and Iris are saying no, it's the wrong call, there's always another way. Which, I mean, it kind of just rings a little bit hollow. I mean, it's not like they're all I mean, I know they're not for necessarily playing judge and jury with their big bads, but it's like, Barry has left Zoom at the mercy of the time race to turn him into Black Flash, and then Iris ended up shooting Savitar, so it's just like, I mean, the thing is that there's another way. There's always like there. I mean, I guess there's a point where it's like I think maybe it has more to do with the fact they haven't been able to outthink DeVoe. Is that the other way? But then of course there's the fact that it's like because they haven't been able to outthink DeVoe, maybe Ralph is thinking they should go with the mundane solution. And the interesting thing about this episode is that he's not doing it for selfish reasons. He's doing it because he's afraid. Because like he says to Barry that besides his mom, Team Flash has become the only family he really has at this point, and he doesn't want DeVoe to take them away, and he knows he's gonna like take them out one by one just to get it because they're getting in the way of his goals. Um, which I get. So he's not doing this for his. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if it he even tells Barry he doesn't care if it makes him less of a hero or that Barry's been trying to make him or build him up to be. But as long as as there's still, he says as long as Team Flash is still he saves killing DeVoe saves Team Flash, it doesn't matter to him. And I've what so it's kind of this whole thing where it's just like, where has this version of Ralph been all season? Because it's like we've been through this repetitive arc of him, um, quitting at it, not wanting to be a hero out of some fear or selfishness, and it's like, and so now it's like all of a sudden it's like this is probably one of the few episodes where it's like his character development actually manages to stick, and he's not just just kind of just being this annoying douchebag who just brings bad comedy, quite frankly, and which is actually which is refreshing because like I said, we don't. I think Barry actually said this in the episode. I like Hero Ralph, which is has some kind of grain of truth to it, where it's like this character. This is probably the few times the character has been, um, they made him out to be likable, and this is what they should have been doing with him more instead of just not only just making him the center of attention, but actually giving him some real character development, not just making it go through the same cyclical character arc. And they have this mini subplot with Caitlin that doesn't go to anywhere till the end, which I'll get into later, which is she's Caitlin's made peace with the fact she has this split personality, and her and Killer Frost have been leaving each other notes, and eventually they decide to I guess Barry and I guess Barry just has to come up with the idea that they're going to storm the castle, so to speak, and that with the help of the folded man, I guess with the help of the folded man, that they're going to be able to get open up a gateway into DeVoe's pocket dimension, which Barry. I'm trying to think. Barry, Killer Frost, and Vi were able to do with his help. Although, why? I mean, you already have you already have Vi can go through different dimensions. So it's just kind of why can't you just go through? So I don't know why is it that you can't go through it, or just have some or just have some do something where you can modify his glasses. He has to vibe at a different frequency in order to get get visions of the most pocket dimension or access it, just kind of how they had to do it when they traveled to Earth 2. I don't know. It's just it's like I said, that's one of the ongoing problems with Cisco being fully utilized this season. But they get there, they try to use the tuning fork, but DeVoe set a trap because she is it's basically just a hologram of the Izzy DeVoe in his is like hovering share, and the DeVoes have actually already opened up. I guess a I guess opened up a wormhole. I guess already traveled from their lair to the cortex, and DeVoe uses Kilgore's power to hack into their systems and cause a lockdown. Iris has this like seems to have basically this like earpiece in her, this earpiece which I guess this was designed to all of them to use for like throwing at the wall to blow up the door. It's like it's very James Bond-esque, and which I thought was pretty cool. And you have but then you have also the Joe, Harry, and Iris confronted by another Samuroid, and Joe says like I'll hold them off, and then Iris goes into the cortex and faces off against Marlize DeVoe, and she's actually being able to use the katana to kind of like just deflect all like the energy blast from I forget it. I forget. It's like the same. It's the same like gun that's used by He was like the villain of the week in like episode 310. I can't remember his name right now. But she basically used it to deflect the blast, and Iris decides to, as a part of this gambit, to intentionally like impale her, intentionally allow, intentionally like impale herself in the arm with Marlise's katana, just as it means like catching her off guard and causing her a distraction, and pressing the button on DeVoe's chair to send her back to the pocket dimension while saying "Get out of my office," which I thought was pretty. I don't know about the line, because I feel like this is going to provide more cannon fodder to Iris haters about a whole being Team Flash stuff, which I'm just sort of just tired about this whole debate about. But I thought it was like pretty badass that she was actually like willingly able to do that. And then there's Ralph, who tries to face off against DeVoe, but DeVoe is able to enlarge that, use the combined powers of Dwarf Star and Black Bison to take a mini T-Rex skeleton and then enlarge it to come to life to chase him around the pipeline. And for some reason, they bring back Matthew Kim, and apparently his corpse. It's a blink and you miss a moment, but his corpse is just laying on the ground after DeVoe transfers his mind into his body and then into the Folded Man's body. So now he has his power, all their powers. So apparently, Matthew Kim was just chilling in the pipeline prison or something. I don't know. It was just kind of lazy writing there. Just kind of. That just all of a sudden it's like they didn't even like bother to address like what he was doing between 416 and 4 and now. That it's just like, okay, he's dead. Let's just have the actor come in and just lie there. And when Ralph confronts DeVoe in the Folded Man's body, he's able to use the tuning fork and to knock him out, but he hesitates to make the fatal blow. And he ends up putting DeVoe in those power dampening handcuffs, but DeVoe is still able to use but even that won't even prevent suppress Kilgore's powers to prevent him from deactivating the cuffs, which is kind of weird considering it's like the power dampeners in Iron Heights seem to work on Kilgore, but it doesn't seem to work on DeVoe when he's using those same powers. And because of that, he does end up taking over Ralph's body, and he uses Null's power to affect Null's powers of gravitational manipulation to pin Barry to the ground, where Barry's saying is like, "I'll save you," and Ralph just says, "You already have," while his mind's being taken over by DeVoe. And even gets and then and then Killer Frost comes in, and but DeVoe touches her and then absorbs her powers and turning her back into Caitlin. And then you have Vibe trying to use his Vibe Blast, but he uses the Folded Man's power to basically just deflect it back at Vibe and just knock him out. And essentially, DeVoe's able to get away. He's basically successfully killing and absorbing all the powers of the Bus Meta, saying Fallout, and is able to use Ralph's elasticity powers to even turn himself back into his original self. So now it's played by Neil Sandilands again, which I'm thrilled because, as you know, I feel like most of these actors are given valiant efforts, but it's just like none of them. It's like the more we saw different actors as DeVoe, the more detached I got from the character, and it's like they really had nobody did this as good of a job as Neil Sandilands. So I'm glad that we got him back in the role. We get to see him the last few episodes before the season wraps up. But it does end on kind of a somber note in which, I was pissed about that, Killer Frost is gone. It seems like she's gone, and Barry's cleaning out Ralph Dibny's office and pouring the last drink, as seen as the photo here. Shout out to @Stevenson's Drawing on Instagram. This is a really great work of, really great drawing, by the way. And making a silent promise to Ralph, like, I'll protect them. And I had mixed feelings about Ralph's death because it still doesn't change the fact that that he was like this kind of a huge pain in the ass who brought a lot of like lowbrow juvenile humor on par with the Transformers movies, and he became even more insufferable in the last two episodes. But at least the writers were like smart enough to stop having him make like just dumb jokes and be a little more serious for once. And at least in this episode he came across as like more of they were able to invoke the execute the jerk ass has a point trope more so here than they did in like episode 16, where he was calling out Iris, saying is like, "Oh, you're not a great hero. You're always hiding behind a desk and not willing to put your life on the line," and just coming off as a selfish hypocrite. With him bringing up the idea of they might as well just kill DeVoe because he's too dangerous to keep alive, and Barry saying, "Oh, they need to find another way," and then ends with Ralph's death. It kind of makes them, I think, they're all starting to, with the loss of like Killer Frost and Ralph, it kind of makes them question as whether or not that maybe he's right, and causes this like a little, kind of makes you wonder who you side with. Like, you feel like both sides had a point, or at least I guess like Ralph had a point, but I guess like the idea is that they want, Barry like wants DeVoe, brought it, proven that he's unequivocally alive just so he can clear his reputation to get his job back at CCPD. But does that make him come across as selfish, or is it just like, or so it's I don't know, it kind of, it can't help but wonder a little bit, but it's definitely been a lot better than last week's episode, which is complete and utter garbage. And it's a little bit more on. I mean, it's a little bit more dark. I mean, it's a little bit more darker. I mean, they still have the Folded Man, delivering some of the bad humor, and as opposed to Ralph. But I don't know. Maybe this is like a sign that I feel like Ralph needed to go. This is really like a necessary death because, like I said, he was the source of a lot of the bad humor. Maybe it'll be toned down for like the last like 5 episodes. Here's hoping. And it just I don't know, the show just focused like way too much on him at the expense of like most of the other cast, and at least maybe we'll get time to sort of like develop all the other characters who've been long overdue for more screen time. And people keep I keep saying online that, oh, this death's not going to stick and they're going to find a way to reverse it, and that's kind of the sad thing with this franchise, is that nobody will accept, no fans don't accept death, or and the writers don't do anything to make it seem like at least some of these deaths are permanent. I mean, I feel like this has to have some kind of this has to have some kind of impact, or like permanent impact, just so because like because then it's like, what's the point of like building up all the drama just to have it all magically fixed and the bus menace fine, and DeVoe's menace has been lacking as of late, that this has to be the thing where it has to be like this, what makes him that much of a threat, that it's like they still haven't been able to like take they haven't been able to stop him from like kill all these people in terms of furthering his plans. But that's just me. But anyway, guys, what do you think about the episode? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.